There is a moment, a single, specific moment that happens before any ant ever sets foot inside your home, before the trail on your kitchen counter, before the colony in your wall, before any of it. There is one moment when everything changes, when the ants go from ignoring your house to targeting it. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly what that moment looks like, what triggers it, and, most importantly, the 4 things happening in your home right now that may have already triggered it without you knowing. Stay with me, because number 3 on that list is the one nobody ever thinks about. But first, let's understand what we're actually talking about. Because most people think ant infestations begin when ants appear. They don't. They begin with a decision made by a colony, collectively, chemically, with a precision that will genuinely unsettle you once you understand how it works. And that decision has already been made about most of the homes on your street. The question is just, what position are you in right now? Target or not? Let's find out. Every ant colony is constantly running what biologists call exploratory scouting. It never stops, day and night, in every season. Scouts leave the colony in expanding radii, moving outward in irregular patterns, testing surfaces, sampling the air with their antennae, cataloging everything they find. These aren't random walks. Researchers have tracked individual scouts and found that they cover territory with a systematic efficiency that rivals purpose-built search algorithms. They are looking for 3 things, always in this order: water, food, shelter. And here is the part that changes how you think about your home. A scout doesn't need to find all 3 to flag your house as a target. She just needs to find one. One strong enough signal, one compelling enough discovery, and the process begins. Now, what are those signals? I'm going to walk you through each one, but I want you to hold something in the back of your mind as I do. The 4 triggers I mentioned at the start, the ones already active in most homes, are built directly into this list. We're almost there. The first signal, the most powerful one. If a scout finds a consistent moisture source near your home, she doesn't just note it, she elevates it. In the ant colony's collective decision-making system, water is weighted more heavily than food. A colony can survive for weeks with reduced food. Without water, it begins to collapse within days. So moisture is not just attractive to scouts, it is urgent. And here is what counts as a moisture signal. A slow drip under your kitchen sink that you've been meaning to fix for 3 months. The condensation that forms on the outside of your refrigerator's water line overnight. The slight dampness in the corner of your basement after rain. The water that collects in the saucer under your house plant. None of these feel like problems to you. They are small, manageable, easy to ignore. To a scout ant, each one of them is a beacon. A chemical signal radiating outward from the moisture source, detectable by ant antennae at concentrations so low they are essentially invisible to any other form of life. The scout finds the signal. She follows it to the source. She assesses the consistency and volume of the water. And then she goes home and files her report. Before I give you the second signal, I want to come back to something. Because I said there are 4 things happening in most homes right now that may have already triggered the targeting process. We just covered the first one, and I want you to think about your own home for a second. Is there a drip you haven't fixed? A damp spot you've been ignoring? A houseplant you water every few days? Saucer sitting full? If yes, the scout has already been there. The question is whether the colony decided to act on her report. That decision, that exact moment, depends on what she found next. Let's keep going. The second signal is food. But not food the way you're picturing it. Not a crumb on the floor. Not an open bag of chips. Ants detect food through volatile organic compounds, microscopic molecules that evaporate from food surfaces and drift through the air. These compounds pass through sealed plastic bags. They pass through cardboard boxes. They seep out of containers you consider airtight. A bag of flour that has been sitting in your pantry for 6 weeks is broadcasting its presence continuously in a chemical frequency that ant scouts are tuned to detect with extraordinary sensitivity. The same is true for pet food stored in a bag, even a clipped one. Cooking oils near a stove, the residue inside a recycling bin, a half-empty bottle of maple syrup with a sticky rim, the grease trap behind your stove that hasn't been cleaned in a year. Each of these is a signal. Each one is detectable from outside your home, through gaps in your walls, through the space under your doors, through the ventilation openings in your foundation. And scouts are running these tests every single night. Now, here is the part that connects back to our main question. A scout that finds a moisture signal and a food signal in close proximity to the same structure doesn't just file 2 reports. She triggers a threshold. In ant colony decision-making, a single strong signal produces interest. 2 strong signals in the same location produce action. The colony sends more scouts. The mapping intensifies. The entry points are identified. And the targeting decision, the one we're building toward, moves closer to completion. 2 down, 2 to go. And I want to remind you, the one most people never think about is coming up in just a moment. But first, the 3rd signal. This one is the most misunderstood. When most people think about why ants invade a home, they think about food. But for the colony, food is a resource. Shelter is survival. Ant colonies are thermally sensitive. Temperature fluctuations stress the colony, slow larval development, and can kill eggs entirely. Maintaining stable temperature in the brood chamber, the section of the colony where the next generation is developing, is one of the colony's most critical biological imperatives. And human structures are, from a thermal engineering standpoint, extraordinary. Your walls are insulated. Your foundation holds consistent temperature. The spaces inside your wall cavities stay within a narrow thermal range year-round, buffered from the extremes outside. To an ant colony operating in the soil, subject to frost in winter, heat in summer, flooding in rain, your wall is paradise. Scouts assess shelter quality with remarkable precision. They measure temperature at different depths within a space. They test for humidity. They check for vibration. Low vibration zones indicate undisturbed areas, which means safety. And they look for accessibility, not just whether they can get in, but whether entry routes are defensible and consistent. A wall void that is accessible, thermally stable, low vibration, and located near a moisture or food source, that is the highest value target a scout can report. And here is the moment we have been building toward. The exact moment ants decide your house is the perfect target is not dramatic. There is no signal flare, no alarm, no visible change. It happens inside the colony in the form of a chemical cascade. Here is how it works. When scouts return from exploration, they carry pheromones that encode the quality of what they found. High-value discoveries produce stronger, more persistent chemical signals. Low-value discoveries produce weaker ones. When a scout returns with a high-value signal, she interacts with other workers inside the colony. They read her pheromones. Some of them get activated. They become more alert, more ready to move. If enough scouts return with high-value signals from the same location, the chemical concentration inside the colony crosses a threshold, and the colony shifts from exploration mode to commitment mode. This is the moment. It is not a command from the queen. It is not a decision. made by any individual ant. It is a collective chemical consensus, an emergent behavior that arises from hundreds or thousands of individual interactions, all pointing in the same direction: your house. And once that consensus forms, it does not reverse easily. The colony begins moving. Pheromone trails are established and reinforced. Workers begin traveling the confirmed routes. A satellite colony begins forming in the shelter space the scouts identified. The decision has been made. Now, the fourth trigger. The one I told you about at the beginning. The one nobody ever thinks about. It isn't a drip. It isn't a food container. It isn't a crack in your foundation. It is light. Specifically, outdoor light left on at night. Here is the mechanism. Light attracts insects. Flying insects, crawling insects, all manner of invertebrates are drawn to artificial light at night. This is so well documented it barely needs explaining. But here is what most people never connect. Those insects that gather around your outdoor light, they die there, or they fall there, or they leave behind frass, insect waste that accumulates near the light source. And that accumulation of insect material, dead bodies, frass, shed exoskeletons, is one of the highest protein food signals an ant scout can find. The outdoor light you leave on every night because it makes you feel safer. It is running a restaurant for ant scouts on the exterior of your home. And a scout that finds a consistent, high-protein food source on the exterior wall of a structure, right next to the foundation, is standing at the intersection of food, shelter, and potential water. 3 signals, 1 location. That is not just a target. That is a priority target. Let's bring this together. The exact moment ants decide your house is the perfect target happens when the colony's chemical consensus crosses the commitment threshold. But that moment is downstream of everything we just talked about. It is downstream of the scout who found your leaking pipe, the scout who detected your improperly sealed pantry, the scout who mapped the void space inside your south-facing wall, the scout who found the insect graveyard beneath your porch light. Each of those discoveries happened quietly, in the dark, before you saw a single ant. And here is the hardest truth of this entire video. By the time you see an ant trail in your home, the decision was made weeks ago. The colony didn't move in because you saw them. They moved in because of what the scouts reported before you ever looked. But here is what you can actually do. Understanding the decision process means you can interrupt it, not by reacting to ants you can see, but by removing the signals that scouts report. Fix the drip. Not later. This week. Seal the pantry containers. Not with the clip that came with the bag. With a hard-sided container with a gasket lid. Find the dark, undisturbed voids near moisture in your home. Behind the washing machine. Under the bathroom vanity. The corner of the basement no one checks. These are the shelter candidates. Inspect them. And the light. Put your outdoor lights on a timer, off by midnight. You lose nothing. The scouts lose their food signal. None of these are difficult changes, but each one removes a signal from the scouts' report. And fewer signals means a weaker chemical consensus. And a weaker consensus means the colony never crosses the threshold. Your house stays off the target list. There is a version of your yard and your home that is functionally invisible to ant scouts. Not sterile, not sealed in ways that aren't realistic. Just low signal enough that the colony's collective decision lands somewhere else. On a different house. One where the pipe still drips. Where the pantry bags are clipped but not sealed. Where the light stays on until 3 a.m. That is the house the scouts flag. That is the house the colony commits to. Not yours. Now you know the exact moment. You know what triggers it, what builds toward it, and what removes your home from consideration before it ever happens. If this changed how you think about the space you live in, there is one more layer to this story. Because the Scouts don't just map your home once, they map it continuously. And the conditions that kept you safe last month can change in a single week. What changes them, and how to stay ahead of it. That is what we are covering next time. Make sure you're subscribed, because the ants aren't waiting.